The city lights flickered like distant stars as I leaned against the cool metal railing of the overpass, gazing down at the streaming traffic below. I've always been fascinated by cars, their sleek designs, the roar of their engines, the sense of freedom they symbolize. Yet, standing there, a part of me felt hollow, as if all my dreams of speed and luxury were just that, dreams. My name is Rob, a regular guy with a 9-to-5 job and a modest apartment in the heart of a city. But inside me, there was always this burning desire for more, a yearning to break free from the chains of mediocrity. That's when I first heard about it, the urban legend of the cursed Bugatti. They said it was a phantom on wheels, a spectral vision that roamed the city streets at night. A symbol of everything I ever wanted but felt I couldn't have. And behind its wheel, a ghostly figure that resembled Tate, a man whose name was synonymous with a life of extravagance, fast cars, faster living, and a brash confidence that seemed unattainable. I remember scoffing at the stories initially. Ghost cars and spectral drivers were the stuff of cheap horror flicks, not real life. But the more I heard, the deeper my fascination grew. I found myself drawn to this legend, this cursed Bugatti that appeared to those who felt inadequate, who felt they hadn't achieved enough. It was as if it was calling out to me, whispering my deepest fears and desires. So, I started my quest. Night after night, I roamed the city streets, hoping for just a glimpse of this enigmatic vehicle. My friends thought I was losing it, chasing after a ghost, a mere figment of urban myth. But I couldn't help it. I needed to see it, to prove to myself that I wasn't just chasing shadows. And then, one night, under the pale glow of the streetlights, I saw it. The Bugatti. It was more magnificent and terrifying than I had ever imagined. The Bugatti was unlike anything I had ever seen. Its sleek black body glided through the streets with an eerie grace, its headlights piercing through the darkness like the eyes of a predator. My heart raced as I followed it, drawn irresistibly to its spectral allure. As it turned a corner, I hurried after it, my footsteps echoing at the empty street. Then, as abruptly as it had appeared, the Bugatti stopped. The engine's hum fell silent, and the night seemed to hold its breath. I approached cautiously, my eyes fixed on the driver's seat, where the ghostly figure of Tate sat, his gaze piercing through me. "You'll never be like me, too weak, too ordinary," he whispered, his voice a chilling blend of contempt and pity. Those words struck me like a cold blade. It was as if he had voiced the darkest thoughts that lurked in the corners of my mind. I stumbled back, the image of the Bugatti blurring as my eyes swelled with tears. The car and its driver faded into the night, leaving me alone with a heart pounding in fear and frustration. That night was a turning point. The legend was real, and so was the curse. The whisper I heard wasn't just Tate's voice, it was the manifestation of my own insecurities, my own fears of being forever unremarkable. I became obsessed. I spent my nights wandering the streets, searching for the Bugatti. My days were consumed with research, delving into every story, every sighting of the cursed car. The more I learned, the more I realized I was not alone. Others had seen it too, and each had their own tale of misfortune and despair that followed. I heard stories of people who, after encountering the Bugatti, fell into deep depression, their lives unraveling as they succumbed to the haunting whispers of inadequacy. Some spoke of seeing visions of themselves achieving great success, only to have it snatched away, leaving them in a worse state than before. I should have been scared, should have heeded the warnings to stay away. But the curse had its hooks in me. I couldn't let go. Not yet. Not when I felt so close to understanding, to confronting whatever it was that the Bugatti represented. As the days blurred into nights, my life began to mirror the very tales I had obsessively researched. Friends, once close, drifted away, confused and concerned by my relentless pursuit of the cursed Bugatti. My job, which I had always taken pride in, suffered as I lost focus, my thoughts perpetually clouded by the haunting image of the spectral car and its disdainful driver. My every waking moment was tormented by visions of Tate, his ghostly figure appearing at the most unexpected times. In these hallucinations, he was always one step ahead, playing chess and outmaneuvering me at every turn, his mocking laughter echoing in my ears. He would toast to my failures with a glass of sparkling water, his eyes gleaming with cruel amusement. These encounters, though figments of my strained psyche, felt incredibly real. Tate's words were like venom, seeping into my mind, amplifying my insecurities. "You're just a brokey, Rob. You'll never achieve greatness," he would sneer. Each taunt was a reminder of my own perceived shortcomings. I realized then that the curse was more than just a spectral apparition, it was a reflection of my inner demons, my fear of mediocrity. The Bugatti, a symbol of unattainable success, had become a twisted mirror, showing me an exaggerated version of my deepest anxieties. During my research, I stumbled upon an old journal in the city's archives. It belonged to someone who had once been obsessed with the Bugatti, much like myself. Their writings spoke of a similar descent into madness, driven by the relentless pursuit of something that always seemed just out of reach. But in their final entry, there was a revelation, a realization that the curse could only hold power over those who allowed their insecurities to consume them. This discovery was a glimmer of hope in the darkness that had enveloped my life. I understood that the key to breaking free from the curse wasn't in chasing after the Bugatti, but in confronting the fears and doubts that it represented. Emboldened by this new insight, I resolved to face Tate and his spectral Bugatti one last time. I had to confront the source of my torment, to break the cycle of despair that had gripped me. I prepared myself for what I knew would be the most challenging confrontation of my life. The night air was heavy as I walked the familiar streets, a mix of determination and apprehension swirling within me. My every sense was heightened, anticipating the inevitable encounter. Then, as if summoned by my resolve, the cursed Bugatti appeared, its sleek form materializing out of the darkness. I stood in his path, my heart pounding in my chest. The car halted mere feet from me, its engine purring menacingly. The door opened, and the spectral Tate stepped out, his presence more intimidating than ever. "You're still trying. Pathetic," he taunted, his voice echoing in the empty street. Gathering every ounce of courage, I confronted him. "This ends tonight, Tate. I'm not your prisoner anymore." Tate laughed, a sound that sent shivers down my spine. "You think you can escape? You're nothing, Rob. A nobody." His words stung, but I held my ground. "Maybe I am ordinary. But being ordinary doesn't mean I'm worthless. My value isn't defined by your standards or anyone else's." Tate's expression changed, his confidence faltering for a moment. I continued, "I've realized that the real curse isn't this car or even you. It's the fear and insecurity within me. And I'm letting them go." As I spoke, something miraculous happened. The Bugatti began to fade, its form becoming translucent. Tate's figure also started to dissolve, his sneer turning into a look of disbelief. "No? You can't just," he protested, his voice now a desperate whisper. But it was too late. The more I accepted myself, the more the phantom and his car vanished, until nothing remained but the empty street and the night sky above. The curse was broken. The weight of my insecurities, the burden of constantly measuring myself against impossible standards, lifted. For the first time in what felt like forever, I breathed freely, a sense of peace washing over me. In the aftermath of my confrontation with Tate and the vanishing Bugatti, the world seemed different, as if a fog had lifted from my eyes. The streets were just streets again, the night air just a cool breeze, no longer heavy with ominous whispers. I walked back home, feeling lighter with each step. The haunting vision ceased, and Tate's voice, once a constant echo of discouragement, was silent. It was as if by facing him, I had silenced my own doubts. The days that followed were a time of healing and reflection. I reconnected with friends, explaining my absence as best I could without delving too much into the unbelievable truth. Work became a place of achievement again, no longer a battleground for my insecurities. As I rebuilt my life, I found joy in the ordinary, in the small victories and simple pleasures. The curse had taught me a valuable lesson. My worth wasn't tied to extraordinary achievements or material symbols of success. It was in the everyday effort, the small steps forward, the resilience in the face of life's challenges. The city, once a labyrinth in my quest for the Bugatti, now felt like a place of endless possibilities. I found contentment in being just Rob, not a man chasing shadows of greatness, but someone living his life, one day at a time. Life moved on. The legend of the cursed Bugatti became a distant memory, a surreal chapter in my past. I sometimes wondered if others were still being lured by its spectral allure, trapped in their own cycles of doubt and despair. The city had many stories, and I was just one among them. Yet, in my heart, I carried the knowledge that the Bugatti, or whatever form one's fears might take, could be overcome. The real battle was within, against the inner demons of inadequacy and self-doubt. As I walked the city streets, now with a confident stride, I knew that somewhere out there, the legend continued. But for those who might encounter the cursed Bugatti, I hope they would find their way out of the darkness, just as I had. The story of the Bugatti's curse was not just a tale of a haunted car and a ghostly driver, it was a reminder of the power within each of us to confront our fears and redefine our own worth. And as for me, I was no longer haunted by what I wasn't. I had found peace in who I was.